Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Motormouth podcast with me, Tim Sylvie. This week on the show, we have Bella James. Now, if you're not familiar with Bella, she's an F1 content creator. She's part of the Drive to Survive generation. And we have a really interesting conversation about whether the Drive to Survive viewers who found Formula One through the Netflix show are, in fact, real Formula One fans. There's a big debate about it, whether these people are genuine Formula One fans or they should leave the sport alone and leave it to the people that have been watching for 20, 30, 40 years. We talk about that, her advice for getting into content creation. We talk about her style of content, which is very, very funny. If you haven't followed Bella yet, go and have a look on TikTok at her content. It's really, really amusing. It's a very unique style of delivery, and I am a fan. It was a great chat with her. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Here it is. Let's get into it. Our conversation with F1 content creator, Bella James. Bella, welcome to the show. Now, let's go back a little bit. Let's find out about you and who you are, what shaped you. So take us back. Where's home? What shaped you as a person? Who were your inspirations growing up? And so on and so forth.
St Albans, Hertfordshire, where I am now. Live with my parents, unfortunately. What shaped me? I don't know. I've only been into F1 since Drive to Survive.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, it's going to upset some people.
Everyone switches off.
But yeah, no, that like my dad watched F1 before. My dad was a rally car driver, so I did like grow up with cars and stuff, and I did always like cars. The first car I ever liked was like an Audi TT, and I don't know why. And then I liked the Fiat 500, and then now I hate those. So I don't know. That was like 14-year-old me though. Anyway, you didn't ask about that. Yeah, who am I inspiring? I don't know.
I guess your dad. I mean, if your dad was a rally driver, that's pretty cool. Like, did he do it quite seriously?
I mean, so I did bring this. This is the British Grand Prix. It's reversed 1996. I don't know. This is when David Hill. Yes.
Yeah.
And in the back, the very back, like somewhere here, which you won't be able to see because it's reversed anyway, is my dad's name because he was in one of the support races. He was in the Dunlop Rover Turbo Cup. So there you go.
Wow. Fair play to your dad. Yeah. I mean, that's if there's a good reason to get into motorsport, then that's it. And then I suppose that presents a bit of interest before Drive to Survive, which we'll come on to because I know it's a hot topic, isn't it? The new fans in the sport. So you've got this dad who's racing cars. You've grown up a little bit with it. When did the content creation side of things come on the radar? And was that always with a motorsport angle, or did you start somewhere else?
I started like completely different. I just started off with like YouTube vlogging and stuff. I initially had a podcast with my friend, then that fell through. And it was, I don't know, it kind of started off like makeup. And I was like, no, I don't want to do makeup. Like I have no interest in doing that. There's loads of people who can do that better than me. And it's like kind of boring now. And also makeup's kind of phasing out. You don't want to hear about that. So I was doing content for like 3 years before anything F1 related happened in my content. But I was the whole time I was doing like content, I was interested in Formula One. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together to do that. So yeah, it's only been a year and a half, 2 years that I've been making motorsport F1 related content. So,
and is that because of the Drive to Survive connection? Is that what really kickstarted it?
Yeah, I remember like lying in my bed upstairs watching Drive to Survive and being like, oh God, like I'm done. Like this is like, I just can't go back now. So yeah, because before that it was, I always go downstairs and like ask my dad, like, because he was watching Formula One, I'd be like, you know, what's going on, whatever. I always grew up knowing the main names, Sebastian Vettel, Michael Schumacher, all that. And I'd always go downstairs and be like, who's winning? And he'd be like, Lewis Hamilton. And my dad was a Lewis Hamilton fan, but you know, if he keeps winning, then he was just like, oh, same old. And I was like, well, I'm not going to bother with that then. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, we might as well touch on the Drive to Survive thing because there's this debate which is going on for the last few years, ever since the first episode of Drive to Survive came out and hit our screens. And there's that sort of cohort of older F1 fans who are like, Well, Bella, you started watching Drive to Survive. You've got hooked on it that way. You're not a real fan. Like, what do you say? What's your counter argument to those people?
Um, Piss off. No, no, but I mean, I get where they're coming from. I think if I was a fan before, I'd probably be like, they're not real fans, like they're just being salty, and I get that. But I think any fan who's not a real fan will inevitably phase out anyway. So any Drive to Survive fans that come through that like aren't real, they will be, given a few years, or whatever, they'll have given up on the sport anyway. So you won't have to, keep saying the same story of like, we don't want Drive to Survive fans in Formula One, because I think they will go on their own if they're not real fans. So
Are you still watching Drive to Survive? Because I watched the first series and thought it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Watched a bit of the second one, lost a little bit of interest, and I know that they've lost a load of followers since the first series compared to the one that's currently out. Are you still an avid fan, or do you now focus more on the racing side of things?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, obviously I'll watch Drive to Survive because it's like, it's an insight no matter what. Like there's no harm in watching it. It gives you more information on the sport and the drivers and behind the scenes. Like I do like it when they do behind the scenes stuff. I feel like potentially I've done less of that recently. I don't really know. Like my also memory is really bad. So I've watched the whole of Drive to Survive probably like 4 times. Not the most recent series, but other than that, and it just honestly, I can't retain information. But yeah, I will love Drive to Survive. I'll always watch that. I think it would be like stupid of me kind of not to. But obviously I watch every single race and I love the racing side of it, and I'm not just there for the reality TV kind of thing. So yeah.
And your main channel is TikTok, isn't it? So how would you, to someone who hasn't watched you yet on TikTok, how would you describe yourself? What is your style of content creation?
Very, very, I kind of like don't give a fuck. That's what people say to me anyway. I don't know how to describe. I'd try and describe it as like entertaining. I'm not informative. I'm not trying to teach you anything. It would be like, I'd hope to maybe teach you something, but that's not like the intention. The intention is to entertain. But people say to me that I don't care, and I like always have an opinion. I always share that. So yeah. But I suppose that, I mean, I just like, it's just funny, like off the cuff things. I'm not a thinker. I'm like a doer and a feeler, and I don't think before I do something, but
Yeah.
hopefully in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, whatever sort of falls out of your mouth at that time is what falls out of your mouth, and it's raw and it goes on TikTok. But I mean, people are obviously receptive to it because it's done really well. You've got loads of followers. Who else do you watch? Like, are there particular creators that you go out of your way to seek and watch their content?
Or they kind of find me anyway with the algorithm, so I don't really have to. But I've gotten really close to one recently called Sky Upshaw. She's doing really well. Hers is slightly different to mine. Hers is more like professional. So if you want like a professional presenting side of things, then that's more her. But otherwise on TikTok, I've always been aware of a girl called B and Shreya. So maybe check those out if you know who they are. You can find them on TikTok. They're big on, I think they're on both platforms, but they're bigger on TikTok. Same with me. But yeah.
And do you see TikTok as the future as far as content creation goes in Formula One? Because for me, we know each other a little bit anyway through the work that I do at WTF1 Talent and managing that roster. And most of the people on that talent roster are either on TikTok or Instagram, and one or two on YouTube. But they seem to be the two main platforms. Is that how you see content going in the next sort of 18 months or so? Do you think TikTok's going to continue to boom?
I kind of think we're on like the cusp of it changing right now, because recently my Instagram reels have been doing better than TikTok, and I kind of feel more excited to post on Instagram rather than TikTok now. I think because Instagram started off as like a aesthetic, like pretty, like, holidays, fashion, all of that. It was just like a grid post, but put it in a video. And now they're actually becoming funny and entertaining videos, just like TikTok was before. So I'd say I kind of like the audience of Instagram Reels and TikTok is changing. So I feel like, is TikTok the future? Yeah, I think it's always going to be there. It's always going to be like necessary, as they're like passing different laws on it though in America and stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But yeah, I think Instagram is growing, and as long as they don't mess it up, then that'll be good. But I think it's like always a toss up between YouTube Shorts and then Snapchat Spotlight is going on now, and it's always going to be like 4 platforms that are in a competition. So I think just post on all if you can, and then they'll kind of figure it out amongst themselves.
Now, let's turn our attention to Formula One. So we've got Canada coming up this weekend. Give us your hot takes. What's going to happen in your imagination? What can we expect from Canada this weekend?
Oh God, I'd actually quite like to see Lewis do well. I'm not like a Lewis Hamilton fan. I'm not that I'm not a Lewis Hamilton fan, but I'm indifferent. I'm not a Max Verstappen fan either. I'm kind of indifferent to those two, but I'd like to see Lewis do well. I'd also like to see Lando do well. But yeah, it's a fun, exciting track. I want to see something new happen. I don't want to see Max win again. It seems like Max isn't really winning. So if we can continue that, that'd be great. And more drama. Hopefully both the Hasses survive this race. And hopefully Checo does as well. And but also I want some drama. So anything, I'll be up for that.
We all want a bit of drama. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot here. So you're a team principal, you're the boss. You have the pick of all the teams and all the drivers. Who are going to be your 2 drivers and why? And then who are you going to hire to run the team on your behalf?
Okay. So I'm like the CEO. I'm like
you're the CEO. And you're recruiting a team principal and 2 drivers.
Okay. I mean, initially I have to go for Lando. I just do. Yeah, Lando is just obvious choice for me. Like talent, brand, everything. I think he's got everything that you could want from a driver. Like nobody doesn't like Lando. Like no one. And he's just a great driver. But yeah, second driver, I'm kind of. I mean, I probably would I wouldn't even be opposed to going for Oscar. I think that's a dream team.
Great lineup.
And I wouldn't say Max. I probably wouldn't say Lewis. I'd probably go younger. I mean, I don't. Oscar's not my favorite, but I'd probably say Lando and Oscar are a dream pairing. So probably or Carlos or Charles. I'm going to definitely go for Lando. Sorry, and then let's just go Oscar. Let's do that.
Okay,
and then
it's a good lineup. And your team principal doesn't necessarily need to be someone that's already in the sport. So you could take Gunter back if you want him.
I didn't even think about that. I was gonna say Fred Vasseur.
Yeah, he's doing a terrific job.
He's a legend. But Gunter Steiner, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with Fred actually. Just not any diss to Gunter Steiner. I'm reading his book right now. And that's great. But I'm gonna go with Fred.
I think that's a strong lineup. I think Fred with Lando and Oscar, that's a strong lineup. I love Fred. I think what he's done for Ferrari in a relatively short space of time is remarkable. And actually, when we were in the last race we were at in Monaco, we met with Ferrari, and the cultural shift has been seismic. Like, he's done a wonderful job, and it's great to see that team really starting to come together. Now, we've had a lot of women on this podcast from all forms of the motorsport and F1 ecosystem, from other content creators to drivers and people at various levels throughout the sport. And it's always an interesting topic to find out what people think in terms of women's participation in motorsport. So keen to get your view on it. What do you make of it? I mean, you're in a very different world to some of the people we've had on here, in the sense that you're a content creator, and there are quite a lot of women who are creating content around Formula One at the moment. But how do you see it? From your perspective, what's the landscape like in motorsport? Do you think Formula One is doing enough with things like F1 Academy and More Than Equal and so on and so forth to make sure that there are enough women up and down the paddock, whether it's content creation or an engineer or a marketer or whatever?
I mean, so I wrote my dissertation on basically this, and I mean, I'd say the answer short is yes, because it's not something that can happen overnight. I mean, I don't want them to hire women or whatever to fill quotas. I don't want it to be that kind of thing. Drivers and otherwise, engineers, strategists, etc. But yeah, the answer is yes, but it's not going to be an overnight thing. Like I think what's happening right now, just generally, even in content creation and media, is we're just getting women involved, and then 10, 20 years from now, like I don't see why it wouldn't be like very even in the sport. So it's just about like getting women interested at a younger age, because they weren't, like I wasn't, like I mean like I was a bit, but like it's more so been a recent thing. Like I was just given Barbies, I wasn't given like cars or anything. It wasn't like it wasn't like walking to Toys R Us and like choose, or like maybe because all my friends had Barbie, you know, like it just like a socialization thing.
Yeah.
So as that changes, which it will, then I don't see why it won't be like completely even in like 5-10 years, hopefully.
Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
later.
Well, touch wood, touch wood. Now, I'm also keen to get your take on the current setup of Formula One from a track perspective, because after the Monaco Grand Prix, and even before it, there was a whole load of chat around it being such a procession. It's a boring race. I mean, literally nothing happened. And it was pretty tedious. But then you get the fans who are like, yeah, it might be tedious, but it's got historical relevance. And, you know, as a spectacle, it's an amazing thing. As a relatively new F1 fan, what's your take on tracks like Monaco? Do you think it should stay on the calendar? And your peers, the people that you mix with, what's the sort of general feeling you get around it?
I think it's okay. I do want it to stay as long as it's like there's only 1-2 tracks like it. You know, as long as we can afford for. I mean, I want to find a way to make it more exciting, obviously, but I prefer that it does stay as long as we can fix it. But yeah, I don't want lots of races like it, lots of tracks like it. You know, obviously, I prefer something like Spa, maybe not Spa because it's scary, but yeah, something along those lines is actually more like racing focused. But I do like it for the historic. That yeah, I do like it.
Do you?
I just
So,
need
so
to.
does that appeal to you? Like, do you care about, you know, for example, Silverstone being, you know, with that vast history? Like, is that a thing for your generation of fans? Or I mean, when you look at somewhere like I don't know, Miami or Vegas, are you like, yes, that's wicked, that's the future of Formula One, or there's still a place in your eyes for things like Monaco and Silverstone and Spa?
No, 100%. I think there's definitely a place for Monaco, Silverstone, Spa, everything like that. I don't want everything to be the same. Like, I don't want loads of Miamis. I don't want loads of Monacos. I want a little bit of everything. But then, having said that, like Vegas is kind of difficult to watch. So, at least the way they did the whole like procession and like the reveal before and everything, I was like, oh god, like, that's very Americanized.
Yeah.
And as you know, English people, we're kind of like, oh, but like that's fine as long as that's not like a regular occurrence.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting to get your take on it, because a lot of the people that I speak to, whether it's through work or the podcast or whatever, most of them are probably not, a good portion of them are over the age of, say, 30 or 35. We've had a lot of people on here who are 50, 60 plus. And obviously for them, it's like, well, it's a no-brainer. Monaco has to stay. But there's even one or two people. I put something on TikTok the other day. I'm just starting to get into TikTok, testing the waters. And I've got a tiny audience there, but I'm just giving it a go to see what happens. And the engagement's been really strong. I had loads of comments. I did one about Monaco. Should it come off? Should it stay on? And lots of people from various age brackets, right up to, you know, hardcore race fans, the majority of them was saying, get rid of it. It's had its day. It's done. Like all it is a playground for the rich and famous to get together and show off how big their yacht is, rather than anything to do with racing. So I'm sort of torn on it. I don't really know which way I'm going at the moment. I flip flop all the time on whether tracks like Monaco should be there or not. But it's just interesting to get your perspective on it. What about things like the length of the season? Because there are so many races now. The season is almost a full calendar. It's sort of March till December. Is that too much? Are we oversaturating it, the amount of content that we get around Formula One? What's your take on the calendar?
I'd say possibly. I'd say we definitely don't want it to be any longer than it is now. I mean, just for the drivers and the teams, and maybe give them a bit more time to do things over like the winter break and stuff, and like recalibrate and recuperate and all that. But yeah, no, I don't want it to be any longer. Is it too long? Yeah, again, I think that depends on like what races are getting picked. Like if they're unnecessary races, like potentially Vegas or potentially in some people's eyes Monaco, then yes, you could argue it's too long. But if they're valuable races and valuable tracks, then no, I don't see why it's a problem.
What about the Andretti situation? Because the Concord Agreement, which is being written constantly, and they've got to get sorted before the regs change in 2026, there's this whole thing around whether Andretti should be allowed to be an 11th team, whether we should be allowed to have 12 teams. Like, I think the Concord Agreement at the moment, you can have 12 teams, and they want to take it down to 10. Would you like to see more teams come on the grid? And do you think, despite what everything has been said recently about Andretti just buying another team, would you like to see them brought in as an 11th team and perhaps even have a 12th or a 13th team?
I think 12 and 13 might be a bit, that kind of scares me. So maybe like we leave it 11 if that does happen. I think there's no reason why a team shouldn't be involved if they're like willing to, put their money where like their mouth is. But yeah, I don't like want too many cars on the track because like that will just be utter chaos. Surely, I mean, yeah, it depends. It depends. Yeah, it depends. But I don't think we should go too far with it. Like, yeah.
Now, Red Bull, as we know, as we talked about earlier, have had massive dominance in recent history. Although the tide looks like it's starting to change a little bit. And as you said, we've got the likes of Lando and others and Charles doing pretty well and challenging Max for once. At the time of recording this, Perez has just signed his new 2-year contract. So bit of a weird one there. And actually, we'll come on to that in a minute because I'll be interested to get your take on that one. But what do you expect for the rest of this season, generally speaking? Obviously, you're a fan of Lando, you're a fan of Oscar, as we talked about. Do you think we're going to see Max eventually run away with this? Or is this potentially the start of something quite exciting this year?
I think there's definitely potential, for it to be very exciting. It's just about whether, I mean, I don't think Red Bull are going to get it together to the extent which they did last year. So as long as that doesn't happen and Ferrari and McLaren don't mess up, then yes, I think this, I mean, we've potentially got like 3 title contenders if, like I just said. So yeah, I mean, the politics in Red Bull, I don't know if like they're as cohesive as they used to be. So I feel like that might as well have something to do with, their not like lack of success, but yeah, lack of success like they used to have. So I expect to see competition. I mean, I don't even remember the last time Max won. It's like 4 races ago. So that's a good thing because literally my memory's so bad, like I said, but you just had to ask me last year who won and I could just say Max and it would be okay because that was actually
yeah, it's a fairly dead cert. And
yeah.
What about Perez re-signing? So he's got 2-year contract extension, which has shocked a lot of people. A lot of people were saying it was going to be 1 year. It's turned out to be 2. And there's various commentators talking about this in the sense of, well, why have they done this now when Sergio's on a bit of a dip of form? He's not doing very well. And, is this just, okay, I'm accepting being the second driver, totally happy playing second fiddle to Max. I'll be easy. I won't cause any problems. But is it a bit of a strange move, do you feel, from Red Bull to sign him up for 2 years rather than perhaps going with, promoting someone from a more junior team or giving someone else a bit of a crack at it?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised at the news because I did think, like, seeing how Checo's been performing, that they would just pick someone else because they don't want someone who's as good as Max, if that's even possible, but they don't want someone who's like really close to him. They just want someone who's able to bring in that constructors, and I don't even know if he's been doing that. So from my perspective, I thought they would have got rid of him and got someone else, but then it's like, that's such a difficult seat to fill anyway, because you have to know you're second. You're not first driver at all. Like, you're only there to, get some points and stuff. But then, yeah. So, I mean, I think I don't know. I think they should have not got rid of him. But I don't, my friend messaged me saying that he was really happy and he thought he was a great driver. And I don't disagree. But it's kind of like not Max. Checo should be up there and he's not. Like, I feel like I'm never worried. Oh, is Checo? I'm not ever worried about that.
No, it's like you're getting 1.5 drivers because you're sort of getting you know that Max is going to perform, but then half of Checo might perform. He might do okay, but when it comes to the crunch and when the team starts, if they do get closer together the rest of this year, you need your second driver to stand up and get the points. And my concern for Red Bull is that if Checo doesn't perform and Max has a couple of off races, they're in the shit. But we shall see. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Now let's look to the future. What's next for you there? What's the grand plan? Is content like your thing, and you're gonna make a career out being a content creator, or maybe you already are? Like, what's your plan, or isn't there one? Is it just like fly by the seat of my pants and see what happens?
No, there definitely is a plan, but it's like too delusional to perhaps even say. So
I like it. Go on, let's hear it.
no, I don't know. I mean, I definitely want to make content creation my career. That like I've never had any interest in doing anything normal at all. Like I don't want a 9 to 5. I worked for my dad for a bit in front of a computer, and I thought, absolutely not. I'm not doing this ever again. I hate it. And I like being like in control. So yeah, 100%. I'd like to. Yeah, I want to be on all platforms. I want to do something on YouTube, perhaps interview related, perhaps motorsport related, which is far in the future. Well, somewhat far in the future, we'll see. But yeah, I can't give away all my plans because they're secret. But yeah, definitely content creation. Definitely, I don't just want to do F1 as well. I want to do a bit more personality based stuff, which I do think I do already. So I'm not like putting myself potentially in one lane. So that's
I think that makes sense, and it's your content does stand out because it is you know, like you say, you say what falls out of your mouth, and it's funny stuff. And there was one I watched the other day, and I wanted to ask you whether this was real or not, or whether this was one that you just sort of you thought, this would be a funny idea, or whether it's a genuine one, where you're talking to your dad about your sort of midnight walks. And he's like, "What are you doing? You're basically dealing drugs, aren't you?" And you're like, "No, I'm not dealing drugs. I'm just getting some healthy exercise later night." What is that like part of your content strategy, or is that an actual family conversation?
No. I came home from my night walk, and my mum was like, "Dad's been asking me if you're dealing drugs. You're going on a walk." And I was like, "Is he joking?" So I went upstairs. I recorded because I knew like potentially it had some potential to go viral. And I just went up to him and said, you think I'm dealing drugs instead of going on a walk? Honestly, I think he needs to find something wrong always. I'm like, it's for my health. He honestly, and I was like, you should have asked me this like 5 years ago. Like I'm older now. Like I'm not the demographic who's doing drugs right now. So he's always out of touch. Like when I started going to the gym, he asked if I was on steroids. I was like, if I was on steroids, I really hoped I would look better than I do. Like, so
you are integrating your parents into your content a little bit, aren't you? Like this is a bit of a theme that's appearing. Again, was this sort of is this like a bit of a plan, or is it just naturally evolved that way? Because they do provide some good comedy value.
No, they've been in my content always. There's like loads of videos of them on YouTube that like I can't even watch now because it's just like the content's so old and it's so different, but they're still valuable for sure. But no, they've always been in it. I don't know where I got that idea from, but I just said, "Do you want to be in it?" Or not, "Do you want to?" I was like, "You're being in it," and then they were like, "Okay." So that they don't like they kind of complain a little bit. My mum's like, "Oh, do I look all right?" And my dad's like, "Oh, my hair, whatever." But they do it, so it's fine. Yeah,
I think it's great. So we have a lot of people watching this who often, off the back of the episodes, they message and say like, how can I be that person? How can I get involved in that sort of thing? What little pearls of wisdom can you send out into the ether if someone is looking at this or listening to this thinking, I want to be a content creator in Formula One? And I know that loads of people want to be a content creator in Formula One. It's like the dream for a load of young fans and older fans, to be fair.
Yeah.
What would you say to them to stand out from the crowd and get those follows and get that engagement up?
God, there's technical advice and then there's not technical advice. And my not technical advice is just believe in yourself, because I know like nobody's ever said to me that I could or should do something. It's only kind of come from within me, which is weird. I don't know why, but I just thought like when I was younger, I was like, "Dad, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do content. I'm going to whatever. And I'm going to like make it." And he was kind of like, "Yeah, okay." He was like, "No, you're going to be working for me." And I was like, "Absolutely not." So I don't know. I kind of knew when I was younger that I wanted to do something different. So if you have that thing of like, you want to do something, then there's no reason to stop yourself from doing that. Nobody else cares. Like, don't overthink people caring about what you seem like and what you look like, inevitably like they're jealous that they can't do it if they do give you any hate or whatever, which they probably won't. But you really have to believe in yourself, and if you want to do something, do not overthink it, just do it. And you need to start, because you're going to start off and you're going to not be like amazing, or maybe you will be amazing, and then you'll get better and better and better. It's just trial and error, so you just have to adapt. But yeah, if you want to do something, do it. Stop procrastinating, stop making excuses, do it.
Very wise words. And I think also, to your point around, don't care what other people think, is getting over that embarrassment of going out in public and filming yourself.
Yeah.
Because like you say, you've done, I saw a video this morning where I was flicking through some of your content ahead of this. And there's one where I think it's you and it might be a friend of yours as well. And your knees are collapsing beneath you. You're walking in public places in front of lots of people.
Yeah.
And no one bats an eyelid, do they? Like, people don't care.
That was the first thing like that I've done. And like, it was even my friend's socially anxious. Like, I don't know how she did that, but she was the one who did it in the middle of the road as well. And I was like, what is going on? But yeah, you just need to, I started off doing interviews outside clubs when we were all a little bit drunk. And like, that's kind of where the interview thing for me started off. And then like, I remember I did something for a brand once that was like sober in the middle of the day. Not that I'm ever drunk when I was doing interviews, but like I'd have a little bit of, it was just like the vibes. But then, I had to do something sober in the middle of a shopping centre in Nottingham. And I was like, oh my God. But the friend I was with was just like, go up to them. And I was like, yeah, okay. She'd never done this before. Like, but it's easier as well if you do it with someone who's like, because they don't need to be embarrassed. Like, they're just a videographer, but they can just be like, yeah, you do it. So I just built up. Like, it's just practice makes perfect. You really just have to start, and then you'll be okay.
Yeah. Right, it's time for our final three, and we ask all of our guests these questions, and it throws up a myriad of different answers. So the first one for you, and this doesn't need to be motorsport related, it could be anything at all. What's got you excited at the moment?
Oh, that's a very good question and a very difficult one. I don't know. I don't know if it is motorsport related, but like movies and stuff. I've always loved movies. Going to the cinema, we have a really nice cinema here in St Albans, which is called the Odyssey, and it's like you're at like an award ceremony, but you're watching a movie. So it's like really, really nice. And yeah, I'm doing a bit of like extra work as well. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say that actually. Yeah, I'm not allowed to say that, but I'm allowed to say what I just said, but I won't carry on. But anyway, I'm in doing some extra work stuff, which is, not allowed to say.
Hang on, are you were in a film, or is this a series?
Yeah, I'm like, the back of me is in a film. It hasn't come out yet. It'll come out like next year. So you won't be able to recognise me, but I'll be in, hopefully, unless they don't cut it. So, but yeah, what's got me excited? Movies. I'm on Letterboxd, which is a movie rating app, and I just go on that sometimes and I rate movies and stuff. That's
so, what's your number one recommendation for a film at the moment?
Right now, Fall Guy. I loved it, and I could watch it again and again and again.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't seen it. I need to watch it. I'm rubbish with films. I've seen nothing. My colleagues and friends always take the piss out of me because I've never watched a James Bond film through. I've seen two Star Wars films, maybe a long time ago. I've seen nothing, like literally nothing.
Have you seen Rocky?
No.
Oh my God! I mean, James Bond is bad enough, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty poor, isn't it? I haven't watched much lately. The only thing I've watched lately, which wasn't a film but a series that I enjoyed, was what was it called? Fallout. The one about the end of it. Is it Fallout?
Fallout rings a bell, but I haven't seen it. But it's on Netflix, or
it's a Netflix, and there's like basically a nuclear disaster, and everyone goes underground for hundreds of years. And Fallout. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, Fallout. That is brilliant. I loved that. Everyone goes into this bunker, they start a whole new society underground, and then hundreds of years later, when the radiation's gone from all these explosions, they come back out, and then the world is in complete chaos, and it's blood, guts, guns, comedy, serious. It's brilliant. That's the only thing I've literally seen of late. But films, couldn't tell you. I can't even remember the last film I watched. So I'll be tapping you up for recommendations.
Yes, yeah, you definitely should. You should get Letterboxd, but you probably wouldn't if you don't watch a lot of films.
Well, there's time to change. Second question for you. we've kind of covered this already with some of your advice just now,
Yeah.
but what's one lesson your job has taught you that you think everybody should learn at some point in their life?
Oh God, my job has taught me. A job has taught me. Well, I wouldn't call it a job first of all, but oh, I don't know. Just like never be afraid. I don't know. Like I don't know if it's taught me. It's teaching me something every day actually. But be confident, because confidence, like, it's kind of like a false reality kind of thing, but it really works. Like, you just need to, like, your confidence, you need to kind of fake confidence, then you will have confidence. And anyway, just don't hold back. Like, don't overthink things. I know so many people who want to do things and they like think like, oh, I kind of want to do that, and I'm like, well, you need to do it then if you actually want to do it, because nobody's, otherwise you're going to realize in 10-20 years that you haven't done it. And so figure out what you want. That's half the journey, and then the other half is doing it.
Yeah, doing it and just getting up and moving, I think is one thing that people need to do more of. I don't mean like literally moving, but like you say, doing stuff.
Maybe that also, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that as well. Yeah, the healthy lifestyle and moving, and I mean that's one thing I can say I've done. I'm walking. I've been bleating on about this for ages to so many people, but because I got a dog fairly recently, I'm walking 10 miles a day, which I think is amazing. So I'm actually physically moving, which I'm quite proud of. And
10 miles a day is crazy.
Yeah. I love it
lot.
though. I love it.
That's so good.
Final question for you. I like this one. What's one thing that nobody really knows about you?
Oh God. That my jaw dislocated on a flight to Spain and went in the Daily Mail. And that's my most viewed TikTok video, is 18 million.
What? Hang on. Your jaw dislocated on the way to Spain?
On an EasyJet flight.
On an EasyJet flight, and you got in the Daily Mail?
Yeah.
Can you expand?
So basically I have a jaw issue, which I don't really know why, but this side just like comes out. Like, basically like the bone goes like that. And every time you eat and speak and whatever, your bone goes like that. But mine came out and went to the other side.
Oh, Jesus.
So it doesn't hurt, so it's fine. But it's just the first time it came out, it was out for 7 hours. Anyway, since then it's come out like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 times. But the 10th time was on a flight to EasyJet. No, sorry, to Spain on EasyJet. Not that they're definitely not sponsoring me, but I just always clarify that. And dislocated. I can't speak or swallow or do anything when it's out. And I said to my friend, well, I couldn't speak, so I said, whatever, like get some help or something. So she got the woman, and then we went to the back, and then my friend tried to put it in for me. I filmed all this because obviously I was like, this is great content. And then she couldn't put it back in, so she asked me if I'd ever put it back in. I was like, no, but like I guess I can try. Anyway, so I put it back in, and it was absolutely fine. But it didn't hurt. But then she stopped recording when I put it back in because she was getting too stressed. And I was like, no. Like, you've just missed that historical moment there. Anyway, so then I put that on TikTok, got 18 million views, and then Daily Mail reached out to me. And I told them my full name, which is so annoying because it's the first thing I've ever done anything like this. And my full name is Isabella Prusak James. So it's not like you can't look that up and find any of my social media or anything, which is so annoying. But anyway, yeah.
That is annoying. I would just dislocate your jaw again on a flight or some other form of transport. Who knows? But that sounds horrible. So okay, I'm glad I asked. Now we know you have a very dislocatable jaw.
Yes, it's weird.
Yeah, it's nasty.
I had surgery, didn't work, so yeah.
It's made me go a bit weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's made my face feel a bit funny. But that's a great one. That's one of the I think it's one of the most unique answers we've had to that question. So congratulations, you. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us and chatting about your journey, the advice to others, and best of luck with your content creator adventures as we move forward through the season, and enjoy the race this weekend. Where are you going to be watching from? Just watching from home, or heading to a pub or an F1 arcade?
I think I'll just be watching from home. I can't even. What time is it?
Well, they're behind us, so it'll be
late.
Like they're 4 or 5 hours behind us, aren't they? So
8, 9.
It should be a fairly civilized time to watch a Grand Prix. Quite nice.
That's true.
Well, enjoy it, and no doubt I'll see you soon. But thank you so much for joining us on the Motor Mouth podcast.
Thank you for having me.